What do you see when you look at this wall? Paint? Brick? Mortar? I see a myth. A memory. Look closer. I see the future. That's right, fuckos. I know it's been a while, but we are in fact so back. But before we begin, a note. This podcast was officially brought to you by DoD Internet, so occasionally the voice goes out of sync. Rather than fixing it like a well-adjusted person, I think it's funnier to instead play this musical cue. When that happens, your brain will stop working. Anyways, enjoy the show.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to whatever this is. I don't know if this is episode 4, 5, 6. I think I put up 4. If you're wondering what happened to the actual episode 4, which was like about 15 people around a campfire, the short answer is I gave up because actually making that into something coherent was impossible.
It's a cognito
Yeah,
hazard.
it really is. You can vaguely hear the story of about 15 inebriated people going from a campfire, walking over and shooting a can of beans, and then walking back. And that's generally about it.
There's something about trees at one
Something
point.
about
It just kind of
trees.
broke down into berating toward the end.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it really did.
And I left out the only part of my AR that anyone cared about.
So we're going to go into something we already started discussing, but I wanted to follow up on because I think it'd make for an interesting episode, which is crab AR theory. So for those who are not as retarded, basically everything kind of evolves into a crab, genetically speaking. And then if you think about it, kind of the same thing is true for ARs. So the AR really is the final stage of every rifle. So I did a little bit of background research. So looking at all of our European, NATO allies, France just adopted the 416F model. Germany itself is actually moving away from HK. It's adopting the Haenel Mark 556, which is short stroke piston AR. England, the Knight Stoner 1 KS1. Again, short stroke piston AR. Even if you want to extend it a little further, these would be more 180 inspired. But the FB Grot from MSBS, I believe, in Poland. You could even kind of argue about the Bren 2 being a little bit AR-ish, but I think it's a step removed. But so kind of wanted to get into this because really, like, what is, in your mind, what is the reason why everything evolves to AR? Is it actually just that it is the superior ergonomic system, or is it because it ended up being what everybody knows, and then this is where it'll be for, like, the rest of the time?
Cartridge first, right?
Well, I think one of the interesting things.
Cartridge too.
Right, because if you look at
I think
even
one of the
Eastern
interesting
Bloc
things is that
countries-
you point out a lot of.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think one of the interesting things is that we're talking about crab AR, but all of the ones you listed there are short stroke pistons, and I would say that the thing that makes an AR an AR is the stoner gas system, because I kind of touched on it with the ergonomics question, but the ergonomics of the AR, other than the charging handle, kind of just how human hands work. So I think everything eventually just kind of dribbles down anyway.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking along those lines. I guess we have to sort of define what AR is, because in my mind, of course, there is a big component to be argued, which is the direct impingement system. But I also think it's sort of manifested in kind of the way, like when you say, like, if someone says like Kleenex. Well, Kleenex is a brand name, but it's not really. It's like tissue. Kind of the same thing in AR. When you refer to an AR, it's like, you think like lower upper separate push pin, or captured pin, and AR ergos, fire selectors right below the thumb, like 45 or 90-degree throw. Thinking maybe
22 caliber.
Yeah, 22 caliber, generally speaking. And T charging handle, at least as a component of it, because I know the SIG Spear is also side charging, and people kind of hate the
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of weird choices there.
yeah. So I wonder, when we say AR, like, does the ergos make it the AR, or is it just, when we're talking AR, does it just mean gas system?
I don't think it's just the gas system. I think it's all of the weird things unique to the AR. So like the T charging handle, it'd be a combination of the charging handle, the gas system, and the ergos. Like if you take any one of those things and just on its own, I'm not sure if that would constitute an AR.
Okay. Because I'm looking at these foreign examples, and even a step further, and just things that are starting to go crab AR evolution. Things like the AKV 521, and your miscellaneous different third world projects. It's all. Oh, and also not to mention in Afghanistan, how they're now all suddenly using ARs. That's kind of interesting. Wonder how that happened.
There might be a different reason for that, bud.
Yeah.
Well, I think on the subject of gas systems, I think there's a good chance we actually see everything go back to Stoner's. What was the phrase we came up with? The indirect impingement system.
Yeah, because it's not. I guess it's not technically direct impingement, because it's not. There has to be the piston component to it. But
I think that calling it indirect impingement will piss off the most number of people. So that's what. Because it's gonna piss off all the people that are really pedantic about saying it's technically a piston. There's an internal piston, and it's also gonna piss off the people that just call it direct impingement. So if we can really get as many people in that circle as possible, I'd really like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, and also, I guess a secondary question here, because, like, what do our, including in this country now with the SIG projects, what are we getting out of a piston AR that we're not really getting out of a regular AR?
Well, everyone runs their gun suppressed now, right? So like I think that's one of the big ones that people always talk about, is that a piston AR is gonna have a lot less problems being run suppressed with like fouling up and also gas in your face, and with a lot of like the military moving to like suppressed rifles and everything else. I think that's probably why pistons are becoming more of the norm. Also, just fouling in general. I think it's easier to deal with that on a piston gun. Yeah, think about like the meme about the reliable AK. It's not just because like Soviet strong. It's the design of the gas system is a lot cleaner.
Yeah. Speaking of which, by the way, wouldn't it be? I was just thinking, wouldn't it be sort of ironic if we make the move completely to a piston-driven system, and then they also adopt a flow-through can at the same time? Therefore, like, kind of like.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is that I think the jump to piston systems, even with the suppression thing, might have been a little premature. I think we might see things start going back to the Stoner gas system, because already there are ways around the issues with suppressing it, and now with the flow-through cans that everyone is going to, I think that mitigates basically all the problems, and you don't have the downsides of a piston system.
Look at like the RC3s. That's probably going to become more of the norm. Just Surefire's got a lock on that shit. as far as contracts go. Like 98% as effective at suppressing and flash suppressing, which is really what they're caring about, and completely flow through. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, I want one, but I don't want one for $1,800. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Like I don't foresee
it's a new rifle.
I don't foresee a world where we go back to any, like, generally speaking, any higher back pressure cans. I think everything in the future going forward is going to be some kind of lower back pressure, because it does kind of suck to just get even on something like MP5, which is about as good of suppressed as you can go. You can the bolt's moving a lot faster, and it's still not ideal. So
I mean, shooting full auto or shooting at like a rapid pace sucks.
Yeah.
Like suppressed with a full back pressure can. It just sucks. There's no way around it.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It feels like you're getting tear gassed.
Ugh.
Yeah. So we've got that reason then. So we've got the piston system sort of nailed in why they're doing that. Then I guess it leaves us with Crab AR theory and the ergos. Do you think there's going to be, are we going to AR because, in terms of ergos, because all of our allies, special forces especially, have experience with AR ergos, or is it just, Eugene Stoner and God got together and they put the fire selector directly where your thumb sits when you hold the rifle?
Oh, I think Eugene Stoner was divinely inspired. Like, I mean, there's look at any other weapon system that has good ergos, and I would say probably 9 times out of 10, it's just copied AR ergos. Like he just got it right.
Yeah, that's my thinking as well. Even stuff you can sort of see over time, even stuff that's not even really trying to copy from the AR directly, like these foreign military contracts definitely are, but even stuff that's not, you can generally kind of see over time, like the selectors and things moving closer to the thumb. Like I think, for example, any of your HK roller lock systems, when you go from your old lowers to like the newer Navy style lowers with the pictograms and things, that fire selector starts moving back towards the thumb.
Yeah, as I was gonna say, is the early HKs are basically just a slightly worse stoner ergonomics.
The Thompson submachine gun. I'm looking at mine right now. It has thumb-based controls, right? It's just terrible. So,
well, originally it wasn't even really. Originally, it had the same style that the MP44 had, where it's like 2 separate selectors. You kind of have to like manipulate with the other hand.
Yeah. This is original to that. I obviously don't have the fun selector though.
Yeah, but still, it is just uniquely terrible.
Yeah, it's a slide forward and slide back safety, which is just awful. And then the mag release is pull up, so it's in the same places that it is on the AR. It's just terribly implemented.
Yeah, it's almost like it was designed for Vortigaunts from Half-Life. If the third extra hand to manipulate all the safeties,
or to load it, or to unload it, or to clear mouth. It's just, I don't know what they were thinking with that gun.
Because it also weighs like 20 pounds, so you need both hands on the gun to keep the thing in place.
You do.
And that has enormous spring tension, so like trying to pull it back is just a nightmare.
I busted my knuckles open on it.
Love and hate the
Thompson. I hate it so much.
It's such a cool gun, but it sucks.
It's like one of my favorites that I have, but it's like least favorite to shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just gun. So yeah, generally, like I saw, like even I have MP5 over here. It's everything eventually moves to that. Like if you put side by side a Navy specific grip for like your HK series and then the AR, it's really close. It's about as close as they can go without totally redesigning the lower. There's even some, like, they even had to change the size of the selector, so when you get into changing it on the gun, it's kind of a whole big deal, because you have to have these like spacers and things. But yeah, it's just, I think ergonomically that does, at least for now, makes the most sense. And I'm sure in the future it'll also be, everything is like ambi, everything is, bolt release both sides, and mag release both sides, maybe.
I don't know, the ambi thing. I don't think that's gonna That's weird to me because I think it makes more sense to have it set up either left or right
Like
handed.
reversible.
Right. It sucks shooting a left hand. Like I said, I've never, I'm not left-handed, obviously, but like shooting a rifle on your left shoulder kind of sucks. So like, I don't see the point either. Right? If that's what you're getting at.
Yeah. Like I don't see the point of having a fully, because not only is it just not great to shoot, it also starts introducing more points of failure. It's something I take issue with the new SIG rifle, is that adding in all of the ambi stuff and the side charging and the old stoner style charging handle takes what was originally a very sealed up, very clean action that was very, it kept a lot of the shit out and it was very simple to operate. And now it has all these open slots and levers and shit that can get gummed up or introduce dirt into the system. It just seems like it's going to be a lot less reliable in real world conditions to me.
I don't mind ambi safeties, but I kind of draw the line after that. Anything more than that, it's like ambi mag releases. Like they kind of make my head hurt. I'm not sure how that's supposed to like. It's kind of weird. And things like that like I have an ambi safe that I really like. It's really tiny on the other side. And it's just kind of nice when I let like retards use my rifle. I can see from far away if its safety is on or off.
Well, that's the key. Is you also have to have the short safety so it's not digging into your hand when you use it.
That's a good point, because I didn't even think about it till just now, but mine also has on the right side the short safety specifically.
Yep.
I think the whole fully ambi rifle is entirely created by like gamer gun, 2-gun match guys. Like I think that's the only reason that ever comes up.
Man was not meant to switch shoulders during a firefight. They've played us for fools.
Yeah, like that's fucking stupid. Well, also, are these people shooting cross dominant eyes at all time? Like trying to shoot cross dominant shoulder is like, how do you get your head into a position where you can use your optic?
I don't know. I've never tried it.
I tried it. I tried it at one of the meetups and it fucking sucked. It was awful.
I've shot my rifle over my shoulder, but I was mag dumping into trash. Just I want to see how much it sucked. You get a lot of gas and brass in your face. I'm not a fan. I'm a creature of comfort, guys.
Yeah. Except when it comes to short AKs.
Yes.
Semi-controversial opinion, but I'm guessing not actually that controversial. The whole thing where you're shooting and switching shoulders, I don't know. Kind of a meme. Like if you look at latest stuff, anything coming out of was it Masada, I think? And looking at those dudes who were clearing a building, not once did they switch shoulders, ever. Not once. And in particular, the real strategy actually was like they had to peek around a corner because they knew a guy was on the opposite wall. We're going to go multiple choice. Was it A, switch shoulders, B, grenade, C, shoot through the corner from the other corner, or D, B and C?
B and C seems like the right answer there. Anything that doesn't play. See, that's what I was about to say. Right? Is like I don't watch CQB videos. I have no thoughts that I'm going to be involved in anything like that. And furthermore, if I ever am, I've made a tactical error. I know my worth. I know my skill set, and it is not kicking in someone's door.
God gave us the Mark III concussion.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why kick in doors when high explosives exist?
God gave us the Mark III concussion grenade for a reason.
The realness of CQB is the monkey with the hand grenade that just says, "Hey, shit ass."
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, there
is. People shoot back at you, right? Like, and that sounds scary. I don't want to be involved in that. I want to be winning by a large margin here.
Yeah. So look, I get it. It's a useful skill if you have to have a weird position to switch shoulders, but I think the actual importance of that is kind of overstated. Something it's like shooting a pistol left-handed. Like, okay. I think even pistol's a little more important.
I think it should be kept in context.
Yeah.
I think it's something that should be kept in context. Like, it's a useful skill to have, but like shaving a third of a second off your reload or making 5% less of your body peak around the corner isn't going to be what saves you in that situation.
I would think that, again, not speaking from experience here, but I would think landing the shot would be more important than keeping a small portion of your body out of the line of sight. But I don't know. Someone no longer shooting back at you seems
Yeah,
ideal.
that's probably better.
Yeah, it's just my thinking.
I think if the grenade option isn't available, I think the ideal one is the Norwegian tactic. Have you guys seen that video?
No.
It's two guys walking on a hallway, hip firing 240s.
Oh
There
yeah,
you go.
okay, yep. Is that the one where the one guy has nods on?
Yeah, that.
Yeah. Yep.
They're just going full cyclic in a hallway with 240s. Hey, we have two per platoon. Might as well.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more what people would do. And also, there was also even a separate video I saw, might have been Ukraine, where it was just like, guys around a corner, what do we do? And they just put about 60 rounds between per person, like into that corner. And it's like,
Is that the one where they're going after like a dissident and like that apartment block?
I think
And they've
that
got the guy with the shield.
Oh yeah,
That one's wild.
Holy shit! Yeah, that was wild.
Generally, just shoot until you're pretty confident something happened.
Imagine being hungover in the apartment next door.
That's just, the dude next door was probably so hungover from living in Russia. He didn't even wake up. He just.
I assume they're perpetually hungover.
I was still drunk.
He just woke up the next day with a bunch of holes in his wall. What happened?
Hey, that's why Soviet apartments are made out of concrete.
Yeah. So I think, yeah. All right. I think that about covers it. We got the reason for, AR reason for adoption. Ergo is made by God. Piston because general suppressor usage. I think that's about that.
Have we talked about barrel length yet?
No, but that's actually a good point. I have all these research pages up here so I can take a look. 416F. I bet you. I bet you that's either 14 and a half or about 16 inch. Oh, and it has an A5 system. That's interesting. Okay. Yep. The 416F is a 14 and a half inch barrel. The Hanel 556, which is the new German one, that is, let's see. They have 4 versions, anywhere between 10.5 and 16.1. Looks like the most common is a 14.5.
See, I don't believe in 14.5 barrels because I don't own one. If I eventually buy one, then I'll start believing in them, and I'll just say that it's the best thing ever.
We got a hype beast one. The KS1 in the UK is 13.7.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then France.
Was it the 14? The essentially 14.5.
Yeah.
Is he cutting out a lot for you too?
Yeah. Can you
Okay,
reiterate? Can you point out the last one again?
Did you guys see the message I put in the chat? My ping was briefly 5,000 milliseconds. So.
Oh, a solid 5-second tape delay.
My
That's
back.
cool.
Yeah.
You're basically on the moon.
I think that's actually not as bad as if I was calling it from the ISS.
Goddamn.
You were saying about a 14.5 and then you cut out.
Yeah, no. The wasn't the 14.5 wasn't that the barrel length that was chosen because it was about as low as you could go without blowing out someone's eardrums?
Yep.
Yeah, like.
Oh, like unsuppressed and unprotected.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes! With the good old M855. Yeah, because I think a lot of this stuff has just come down to magic numbers that we found. Because we have the entire Cold War of people making bad decisions and then either revamping them or, as is the case of the government profile barrel, just sticking with it.
Yeah, government profile's retarded. Well, I mean, like that's 10.5 exists because like 10.5 is like as short as you can go and still not be, or still not, and not deal with like ridiculous fall off in velocity.
Yeah.
And stabilization.
Yeah, I think it was also like a lot of it was reliability with the gas system. At a certain point, you're just venting straight chamber pressure into the bolt, and it doesn't really work.
Yeah, I have to say, even 11.5 without a can is wildly unpleasant.
I blew out raccoons' eardrums doing that.
Oh no, dude! To be fair, that was also with the cookie cutter,
Yeah.
so that's cheating.
Yeah, she was not pleasant.
The enloudener.
Yeah, so I think barrel-wise, we're seeing about 14.5, and I guess that makes sense. I mean, these are all pushing 5.56 at, at a length that is not going to be immediate hearing blowout, which makes sense.
And you're still getting pretty good velocity. It's like what's
Yeah.
55A1 out of a 14.5-inch barrel? It's like 2,700 feet per
Something
second.
like that. Yeah, and I think modern loadings have kind of eliminated the short barrel problem, especially your 77 grain stuff, which I
Yeah.
think will probably generally become a standard.
All the cool kids are using Sierra Match Kings.
I think that with the I don't think it's going to overtake the 855A1 just because the U.S. government put so much money into developing that into
They
making
can't make enough
855
of
not
like
suck.
those short barrel cartridges, right? Those are specific purpose. They're not making shit tons of that stuff.
No. 855A1 is the standard
Oh
ammunition.
no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying they're not. Yeah, they're gonna make more of the standard issue. That's what most people are getting. The SBR shit is specific purpose.
But also, I think that with once they worked out the problems with it, it's like a great cartridge. It's really good. There's no reason to not use it.
Yeah, I mean, most of the problem was with the magazines didn't have a aggressive enough angle of attack, and so it was chewing up people's feed ramps.
Yeah, it was just beating the shit out of the receiver. Just turns out slamming tool steel into an aluminum receiver was a bad idea.
Go figure, right?
Yeah. Yet another thing solved by Gen 3 PMags.
Yeah. Seen a bunch of those show up at gun shows. By the way, they're like clearly falling off
Really?
trucks.
Gen 3 PMags fixed my parents' marriage.
The ones with the like bright blue followers that are like specifically for A1. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of those.
Yeah.
You're gonna make a request to Lake City. Please make M855A1 that you can sell me for under $5 a round, please. I beg
Oh
you.
my God! Remember when people were freaking out thinking that they were going to shut down that plant for civilian sales?
Yeah, that was like, and the immediate spike from that was like, I'm not buying 5.56 for a while.
Has the old election ammo cycle gotten smaller recently? Because I remember when I was younger, it being like every 4 years or so, people would freak out. Now it seems like it's every 6 months. There's some kind of insane ammo demand shock.
We've been psyoped. They're in bed with the politicians at this point.
like gun control supporting big ammo.
Dude, no. Like, I'm serious. This is ridiculous.
It's bad enough that I have to cycle, like, because I'm just used to the perpetual, at this point, ammo, like, something is gone, and then everything else is kind of okay. So it just ends up being I cycle through ammo, and I don't shoot, I don't know. Like, I don't shoot AK for, like, a year, and then, before that, it was like, oh, I'm not shooting the AR for a while. Now 9mm is great, but everything else sucks. So it's like, oh, I'll shoot the MP5 more. Yeah, I think generally this is just how it's going to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, she got a PCC.
You should. It's a good time for cheap, and also especially for ranges that are anal about steel, like at specific ranges.
Oh, did we lose him?
He went back to the moon.
He's back on the moon. I wonder what it's like on the moon this time of year.
Either probably pretty cold or very hot, I would think.
One of the two.
Yeah.
All step for man.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah. That's the way it is. Unless we get another like golden. If we get into another golden era of ammo, I'm gonna buy and stock up for the next however many years.
I really, really hate DoD internet.
I was just about to make a joke about like, I love how we can talk to literal people in space faster than we can talk to someone sitting on a military base.
I'll cut it together in post. So
My back. Like, no, damn it! I'm just watching my pain fluctuate. It's awful.
I'll cut it together in post so it sounds less choppy.
Leave at least one section where it shows how far the return cycle is.
I'll just this past like 10 seconds. I'll just leave it so it's like put it like a timer on the screen of time between when we say something and when it's received over there.
It reminds me of those sci-fi movies where someone's in space and they're floating away from Earth and they're trying to communicate with Earth, and the time is increasing as they get further out.
Some Inception
Like
level.
fucking Event Horizon.
Yeah, or Interstellar, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I think that gets us. Yeah, I think that gets us through the ARs, and then Mr. Coonman, when you get back, if you get back, we'll do 280.
I think I'm back. I think I'm back now.
Okay. All right, welcome back. All right, so everything moves. Crab AR theory is true. Everything adopts something from the AR.
Oh, yeah.
Caliber, or all right. Here's a more
Eugene
accurate.
Stoner was God's own prophet.
Yep. And okay, I say everything is either AR-15 or AR-180. That's it. That's our adoption. Everything is in that.
Oh
range.
yeah, that's 100% true.
No exceptions.
I like that because then we can't be wrong because then it has both gas systems.
Exactly.
That actually brings a good point. In the last 150 years, what major innovation that took over the entire world of firearms was not made by an American?
You said 150 years?
Yeah, like in the realm of cartridge firing firearms. The only thing I can think of offhand that wasn't American was smokeless powder.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Was smokeless, but the French. Other
The
than
Glock
that,
is kind of the Glock. There's crab pistols for Glock, right? Except now they're kind of moving away from that. People are getting tired of having double action only pistols, or double action
Everyone
only.
realized they fucking suck. They
Yeah,
were tired
it's
of
really
spending
hard to hit a far
$800
shot.
making their Glock. They were tired of spending $800 making their Glock shoot like a normal pistol.
Exactly. And then because there's a bunch of people
But
coming
yeah,
out with
outside of those two things.
Glocks but single action, the Walther PDP. Some of the SIGs are almost like that too.
Yeah. Because
And then the first thing everyone says is wow, it's like a Glock, but the trigger doesn't suck.
Yeah.
all right. So, you know what? That's a good separate episode. We'll do crab pistol theory, which is definitely true because everything is a Glock until everything is Glock plus because we've had Glock and we've had enough time to evolve kind of away from it, but also retain its best elements. So I think that'll be a worthwhile episode. But all right. So you had a theory that I also wanted to put on the show, which was about 280. And so why don't you give people sort of the general background about 280 and what the debate there about 280 and the adoption.
Okay, so yeah, the conversation that came up was back in the 50s. The British were developing the 280 cartridge for their EM2 rifle, and I believe the FAL was also originally in 280 British. And there was some drama going on there with the NATO cartridge trials at the time, and what ended up coming out of that was America strong-armed everyone into adopting 308 because 30 caliber more better. But I posed the question: what would the world look like if we locked all of the U.S. Ordnance Department in a box and threw it in the ocean and got NATO to adopt 280? How would that change the Cold War? And the end question was, would 5.56 still be adopted?
I think it would, right? So I'm not going to touch the first question because I don't have any theories on that yet. But I think 5.56 would get adopted eventually. So secondary to crab AR theory, crab cartridge theory. I think it changes the way you think about what a lethal hit on someone is, right? So shoot someone with 5.56 and maim them, right? And you take two people out of the fight, him and his buddy to go take care of him, right?
It's not a thing though. That's like
that was a common repeated thing, right? Just because we've disproved it doesn't mean that it wasn't a common thing that was repeated.
Not by anyone designing cartridges.
Fair enough.
When you go look at least
I just
haven't
think
seen it. Every all the stuff coming out of the movement to the 22 caliber high velocity cartridge was that it was just as lethal. Like there's the good famous story about them the sales guy for the AR-15 taking the AR-15s to Curtis LeMay's birthday party to shoot watermelons and being like, oh, look how much damage this does.
I can't understand a single word he's saying.
Did that all cut out for you?
All of it, 100%. I heard Curtis LeMay.
I got the Curtis
Okay,
LeMay to his birthday party and shot at watermelons and said, "Look how much damage that does." After that, it was just
that was the. Do I need to re-say that?
yeah, I would just go.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah. Well, so it was basically the point that there's the famous story about them bringing the AR-15 to Curtis LeMay's birthday party and shooting watermelons and be like, oh, look how much of a mess this made. Like it's just as effective as 308. There was never this idea of the people designing it that it was going to just maim people. Their whole thing was if you get a little bullet going really fast, it fucks people up. So I don't think that with implementation.
I mean, isn't the name on the tin, right? So like the stated reason for it is you carry more ammo.
Yeah, so that was the actual impetus behind it was the same thing that led to the development of 8mm Kurz with the Germans, was that most combat was taking place within 300 yards, so you didn't need the range of a full powered rifle, and you can carry 2 times as much ammo as you can with like a 308. And the only thing that really changed the the calculus recently was the widespread use of personal body armor that was effective at stopping 5.56. The problem with that though is I think they're kind of starting to see this with the 277 SIG cock and ball torture, is that it's really hard to get any rifle cartridge to penetrate level 4 plate, and you can just shoot them in the dick.
Yeah, dick shooting theory.
Oh, okay. Well, so carrying on that, right? We all know what beats steel, or not steel, but level 4 plates. It's like speed, right? I think the issue that they're going to face with like getting a man portable rifle, right? Like an infantry rifle, not like a designated rifle for it. Shooting that fast is going to chew up barrels. You can't have a standing army outfitted with 3,700 feet per second rifles. The infrastructure necessary for that is what's it called? Untenable.
So we're calling bullshit on SIG's claims of barrel life.
Oh, I'm calling bullshit on it. Yeah, I don't see how that's possible.
Oh yeah, me too. It's horseshit. Like from a materials perspective, it's just not possible.
The math doesn't make sense to me.
So, so you're saying they're saying it's too long or too short?
They say that it's like comparable.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that what they're doing there is they're, instead of saying the number of rounds for this barrel is not useful as a accurate barrel anymore. Instead, their endpoint is, when is there literally no rifling left in this barrel?
Yep, 100%. Yeah, because that kind of pressure is just not gonna. That thing is not gonna last. And also, generally speaking, military time to replace barrels is, not exactly stellar. So,
Yeah. But does the 227 SIG even penetrate level 4 body armor at a reasonable distance?
I don't think at a distance.
no, I thought it was.
I don't think it does.
No, it doesn't. And I think, generally speaking, there's even some 4s that it wouldn't.
But I mean, if that's the metric we're using, inside of 25 yards, a 20-inch AR will penetrate level 4.
Yeah. So we're all going back to M16 at once. Crab theory wins again.
Exactly right. We're back to ARs. Just build a longer AR.
I disagree that that we would still get to 5.56. I think there's a good chance that we wouldn't, because you wouldn't have this whole thing in Vietnam where we have this big ass heavy battle rifle that's just a full power battle rifle that we just don't need. If we're using, and from what I understand, I'm not super familiar with the development of the 280 cartridge, but there were a lot of different loadings for it. The British went through a lot of different iterations of it. But let's, for like sake of argument, say they went with something more on the intermediate side, something closer to like 6.8 SPC. I think we don't get 5.56.
The only counter argument I have to it would be that so the Russians kind of did have a 30 cal intermediate, and they ended up moving to a 22 cal AR-ish style round.
Yeah, but that's not a great argument because a 7.62x39, like 7.62x39 is a weird cartridge, right? It's not the greatest designed. It's, I would say, marginally better than 8mm Kurtz, and I think part of that is so one part of the issue is that it's a absurdly girthy round, which kind of hurts its whole the ammunition capacity of the intermediate cartridge. But also the Russians saw the Americans adopt 5.56 and went, ooh, let's get some of that.
Yeah, I was hoping you weren't going to say that.
I don't think they adopt 5.45 without 5.56.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that you were just going to glance over the fact that I said in a vacuum they created it.
me miss an opportunity to make an argument? Never. But see, the thing that convinced me that why I say that I don't think they would develop 5.56 is like, okay, do you think that 6.8 SPC failed to catch on simply because of inertia or because 5.56 is a better cartridge?
Inertia, probably. I think that's the same reason why we haven't adopted any cartridge in the last 70 years.
Yeah, I think that those two cartridges are close enough. Like when you average out everything, those like 5.56 and 6.8 SPC, each one has advantages in certain things, but I think they're close enough to where whichever one comes first just stays adopted. And that's why I think if we start off adopting 280, we just stick with it, because going to 5.56 doesn't have enough of a change to make it worth adopting.
Yeah, I think I've been thinking about this a good bit. It's really going to depend on the loading. If it's loading that's close enough to 5.56, then 5.56 might not happen. But essentially, we get 5.56 still, just in a slightly different form.
Yeah, no, we get the same functional. Yeah, I think you're right. If they adopt a loading that's closer to like a 6.5 Creedmoor, because I think some of the loadings were closer to that end, I think we still go with some kind of intermediate cartridge.
Yes. Yep. And then 280 turns into a DMR roll. We get like a dynamic like we got with 308 5.56.
Yeah, that actually really interesting, because I think then they would go with the same bore diameter.
That's a good point. Maybe they'd even use some of they wouldn't use the same barrel, but they'd use some of the same machining.
Yeah, then they could start putting you'd have short carbines with the really crazy 280 caliber VLD bullets.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting timeline. I want to see some designs from that.
I mean, Dogshoot, it's interesting you say they wouldn't use the same barrel, because now, why wouldn't they use the same blanks? Because that's what they do for ARs. From everything from 450 to 5.56, it's all the same barrel blanks.
The same blanks definitely, would just be different chamber reams.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I might have cut out. I said they think they would use the same blanks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like the Russians. It's like a more technologically advanced versions of the Russians using 30 caliber pistols so they can use the rejected Mosin-Nagant barrels.
Yeah.
it's approaching from the other direction.
Horseshoe theory is real.
Yeah, if your manufacturing is either really, really, really good or really, really, really bad, you can use the same barrel for multiple platforms.
And then somewhere in the middle, you have the French doing whatever the fuck they're doing.
What's the other the shotgun that the Russians made?
The KS-23s.
They had an off-run of cannon barrels.
It was the U-23 barrels that were I can't remember if they had stress fractures or they weren't heat treated properly, so they just made them into shotguns.
Yep.
Dude, I love some of the crazy shit the Russians did in the Cold War. It was just But like the two places we had this conversation at the Aerospace Museum, but that's another. We were talking about how great it would be to be a German scientist at the end of the war, where they're just handing you blueprints and cocaine and saying fix it. I think the Russians had some of the same thing in the 70s.
Yeah. I wonder what other times this has happened we just don't know about.
Oh, so many.
Probably a lot.
What, things getting repurposed?
Yeah, just like barrels in general, like when they fuck up a barrel and it just turns into something else.
That reminds me, wasn't there? I might be misremembering this, but I remember from early in the Ukraine invasion, there was a like chopped cross section of a BMP-2 barrel that was horribly non-concentric. Do you guys remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
Well, okay, so what was the deal with that? Was that really just like they were boring their barrels for the gun that far off?
I don't know. I just remember seeing the picture.
Yeah, I really want to know the backstory to this because I've seen Saiga AKs, like these mass-produced AKs that were about that non-concentric too. So maybe the Russians are just really bad at boring barrels.
That's why I bought a Bulgarian AK, is because I knew I wanted to suppress it, and apparently they were better about being concentric.
Oh, dude, the Saiga I worked on at the shop was so because like normally when something's non-concentric, like a bore, you look at it and it's kind of like, is it like it's kind of hard to tell. This thing, I looked at it immediately. I was like, yo, that's bad.
I've seen some hilarious ones online because people will get they'll be posting pictures on Reddit/NFA and be like, what do I do here? And it's like visibly off.
Yeah.
I think the Russians don't generally care about concentricity. Like for that, like they build things around their inability to have concentric barrels. Like on the 74 style brakes that the exit hole is way oversized. And also just like the threads on generally everything, they don't seem to give a shit.
Well, it's all finger loose, like it wobbles, right?
Yeah.
And then the only time that they ever would have cared about concentricity would be like the couple rifles they set up to run PBS-1s, and they probably just hand selected the couple barrels that were good out of a massive batch.
And also PBS-1s have they have the baffles that get I think they get bigger as it goes down the PBS-1, so they're
also wiped toward the end instead of having tight end caps and stuff. They use wipes, so it's like they did several things to get around it.
It's sort of weird. It's weird to think about a country instead of investing just a little bit and getting them concentric. It's just like, well, what if we?
How can we engineer a way around the fact that it'll never be done right in our factories?
Yeah.
It'd be kind of fun being a Soviet engineer, right? Like you have to design defensively around the fact that just no one is going to implement things right.
Yeah.
My question is, how do you get something that non-concentric?
I don't know enough about machining. We would need to call Rexbox.
We probably would, but still, just from a basic, a basic, this is a lathe. If something is a radio cutting machine that it can be slightly concentric, fucking terrifying. What were they doing?
Generally, I wonder, because it would be pretty much impossible on a lathe to not have it concentric. So I wonder if their procedure for making barrels just doesn't involve a lathe.
Just a really long ass drill bit.
Yep.
That's got to be it. It's got to be something like that. But no,
because a lathe would be at least somewhat self-centered. Because if you tried to drill into it uncentered on a lathe, it would throw it off the chuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. Actually, I'm just thinking mentally.
No. Actually, I bet what it is. It's the way they manufacture their blanks, because they have to lathe turn them down, and I'm assuming the process is like most other barrels where they bore the blanks and then lay them down. So that has to mean that the process they're using to rifle their blanks, like bore and rifle their blanks, the ends are flat, which is how the lathe is going to whatchamacallit, hold it. But they're boring their barrel blanks at really bad angles. Like they're not perfectly perpendicular.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's slightly angled.
That has to be what
it has to be centered at the chamber, but it would be uncentered toward the muzzle.
Yeah. Well, what it is the like the lathe is being centered off the holes on either end, and then but those holes they're not perpendicular to the parallel planes at either end of the blank, and that's how you're getting the non-concentricity. That's the only way you would do it and not tear up whatever machine you're using.
This is fun. We should have a whole episode where we just sit here and try and figure out how it went wrong.
Yeah, what happened? We have to get Yama and Rex on here and just be like what is wrong with the Russians?
Yeah, we'll get a couple other engineers on here, and we'll all just sit here and have a nerd fest where we figure it out.
Yeah, I think we should do. Yeah, we'll do Nerdfest. How did it go wrong? Engineering in Russia, and then we'll do Crab Theory again, but for Glock and just the striker-fired pistol. But I think I got to get running, so I think we'll wrap it up about there.
What are the cartridges for Crab Pistol Theory going to be?
9mm, 940, and anything tilting barrel ish. But I think 10mm and that stuff gets into kind of at that point it's a little different enough. And I think I associate 45 more with like your boomer 1911s and things. I know it's in Glocks, but
I think it's going to make a resurgence now because of subsonics and everything.
Yeah, I think it would too. I think we'll get into it in the next one, but I think 10 mils probably.
I submit 38 Super as the 280 cartridge.
38 Super will forever be the my country doesn't allow 9mm, so I have a gun in 38 Super. I think that's, or it'd be like the Italian 9x21 ish theory. Where it's like, well, we can't.
Yeah, just not allowed to have 9x19.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, oh, we'll make it as slightly different as possible with just the same amount of oomph. So, all right, thanks everyone. Next episode, it could be next week. It could be in about 4 years. I'm not gonna make an estimate because the last time I did that, it was actually probably about 2 years. So, all right.
All right, boys. See you when there's a new president in office.
Yes.
Right. See you on the other side. Next week in radio will be from the trenches.
Yeah, it'll be World War III. What kind of American are you?
All right, I actually do have to go as well.
All right, see ya.
All right, I'll see you, man.